All right, good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of July Online User Group. Today we're going to get an inside scoop of some of the exciting new features and functions coming down the pipeline in Sugar. You'll gain insights into the product vision and learn how that's shaping these roadmap goals, and we'll learn about some of the major features set to be released in the near future. So real quick before we begin, I'd just like to remind you that this presentation is recorded and we'll make sure that we email it to you within 24 hours of this event. Our presenter, David, is going to cover a lot of information today. So if you have questions throughout, please submit those in the chat box and we'll address all of those questions at the end of the presentation. Our sales director, Molly, is also standing by, and you can always reach out to us if something comes up after today's user group, you think of a question, or you want more information on something. We will give you that information to reach out to us as well. All right, so with that, let's get started. My name is Deneen. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Technology Advisors, and our guest host with me this afternoon is the Sugar VP of Product Marketing, David Campbell. We're really excited to have David here today to take us through this information. David's presentation breaks down Sugar's features and function plans for the short term, the midterm, and the long term, so you get a nice well-rounded view of everything. As I mentioned, there's a lot of information to cover, so please bear with us with any questions. We will be deferring those to the end of the presentation. Without further ado, I'm going to hand the floor over to David to get us started. David, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Deneen. I appreciate it. And thank all of you for attending. Really appreciate that. I'm really excited to speak today because we have a lot of things that that we've been working on. Some of them are very, very exciting, and so it's always a pleasure to talk about those. This is probably the best part of my job. One of the things that they make me do at Sugar Legal is they make me give a forward-looking statement. So what this boils down to is today I'm going to tell you our very best knowledge about what we plan to do. But as we've learned over the past 6 months, conditions change rapidly. And so as a result, our plans might change, and that can happen. And we reserve the right to do that, of course. So, but this does represent our plans as of today, and I want to share them with you, okay? So let's walk through the roadmap. First thing I want to lead with is a little bit of information about how we do roadmap at Sugar. So we take inputs from all kinds of different sources in the marketplace, from different technical publications, from analysts, from subject matter experts. We also take input from, of course, from existing customers who have, not surprisingly, very strong ideas about where the product should go. And we take input from our partners, as well as internal stakeholders or our own internal subject matter experts. And what we try to do, there's usually more requests than we have resources to fulfill them. So we try to take those and prioritize them through a strategy filter, if you will. And last year, I don't know if you remember, but we introduced sort of a new overarching strategy built around 3 pillars of time-aware customer experience platform, no-touch information management, and continuous cloud innovation. And there's detailed information about what that is, but I'm going to give you that information in the context of the roadmap. But we take all these inputs, we kind of put it through the strategy filter, and we commit to a set of things that we want to accomplish over the course of the year. And those are usually based on outcomes. If you could advance the slide, please. So in our case, you know, we have a lot of different products now, but we're trying to focus on things that we can do to improve the way that customers find and identify and nurture their prospects, to improve individual productivity, especially for frontline customer experience workers. That is, people who are dealing with customers, usually face-to-face. So sales reps, customer support reps, even marketing campaign managers and folks like that. Third one would be around reducing and controlling costs, because that's one of the primary value propositions for CRM, improving customer satisfaction, and then being able to take this and measure results. It's really important for us. We're like all of you, we're very, very concerned about retention rates. And one of the best ways that we can ensure retention rates is to instrument our product in such a way that we prove out value within the product itself. And so we're always looking for ways to do that. Okay. So a little bit more about how we do roadmap here. I'm going to do it in 3 sections. I'm going to do now, next, and future. And now are the things that we have extremely high confidence about. It's the things we're actively working development cycles on. The research on them is complete. We understand the problem. We know exactly what we want to build. And in general, you can expect to see evidence of these things in the now category in the next release. But I'm changing it up a little bit. The things I'm talking about today are things that came out in the release that happened last week. So when I say now, I really mean now. And next are the things we have medium confidence in. We've done some of the research, but it's not complete. And you should expect to see some evidence of those things in the next 2 or 3 quarters. And then the future things are the kind of thematic places that we want to investigate. These are the directions we want to go in. We may have done some research. It's certainly not complete, but we have not tied it to a specific release, and therefore we haven't committed to it yet, but best projections are this is where we're going. Okay, so let's talk about now. As I said, I want to focus now on the release that we just had since it just came out last week. Okay, if you could go to the next slide. So that release was called our Q3 2020 release. That GA'd on Tuesday last week. Okay. We have 2 themes actually. First theme is time aware. So the idea behind time aware is CRM systems have historically been really good at telling you what's going on right now. Give me a list of all the current opportunities in play. Give me a list of all the contacts. I have a specific customer. Give me a list of all the support cases that have been opened by a customer. It's really good for lists of things that represent the state of the nation right now. What we have been focusing on and what we will continue to focus on is more of a time-aware view of that. So not just what's going on right now, but what are all the things that have happened in the past to get me to this state right now? Because the problem is understanding your current status is necessary, but it's not enough. You need to understand the context behind how you got to your current state. And if you understand those 2 things, then you can make predictions about the future and what state your business could be in under different scenarios. And that's what we're focusing on, both the past as well as the future. The second one is no-touch information management. And this is a really easy idea. What no-touch really means to us is it's sort of a design philosophy. We're going through our products. We're working with our customers to watch them use our products. And what we're trying to do is eliminate anywhere where there's a lot of tedious manual tasks. Places where you have to enter a lot of information or you have to do things repetitively. We have not obviously eliminated everything, all of those from our product. This will be an ongoing thing. But the ideal is we want to get to where we're capturing information as a byproduct of a user just doing their job, sending an email, interacting with a customer, or what have you. Because what we want to do ultimately, we want to have a value proposition that's like, well, say Google, where you go to Google and you type in a phrase, and it might not even make a whole lot of sense, but you get back lots of results. So very little effort, lots of returned value. And we would argue right now in the CRM land that value equation is kind of flipped, and we want to write it. Okay, so let's talk about the time-aware stuff that's in the latest release. Go ahead and advance it. Thank you. First thing, if you look in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see SugarCRM. So everything I talk about, the product that it refers to is going to be in that lower right-hand corner. I just want to call that out for you. So we're talking about SugarCRM now, and in the time-aware category, one of the things we're doing is adding the notion of shift management for workforce management. So employees tend to work in shifts, and those shifts, the hours of those shifts can vary by region or by business unit. What we're giving you the ability to do is to define shifts, to assign employees to those shifts, and then create and calculate exceptions, things like people going on PTO, company holidays, things like that. And the idea here is this sets us up to add a bunch of other capabilities, but it gives the customers the ability to optimize their staffing, because they can see how well they're staffed on each shift and how well they're staffed at any given hour of the day across regions. It allows them to make plans and projections that account for breaks and vacations and seasonal spikes. And that allows us to do really interesting things in terms of case management. So we can ensure the best possible response to customer inquiries by routing things to available service reps. And it also helps ensure SLA attainment. So when we introduced the SLA management feature to SugarCRM, we introduced the ability to work on cases prioritized by SLA attainment, by things that represent the most critical or dire risk to attaining an SLA for a particular case. Those should be prioritized first. And this helps us do that even better by taking into account when people are actually working. Okay. Now, once you have shift management, then we can do this capability, which is something else we're introducing. It's called enhanced round robin assignment. So basically, what it'll do is it'll take incoming cases and route them to the best available agent based on region, call center, availability, as well as estimated time to complete the case and whether or not an agent has that amount of time available. So what we're trying to enable here is to enable the fastest response times possible, to reduce manual effort so somebody doesn't have to go into each case and triage them individually. And then once again, to help ensure that service level agreements are actually attained. This is actually implemented in our SugarBPM workflow engine. So we provide a best practice out of the box, and you can use it out of the box, but you can also go in and customize it. If you want to add other capabilities or considerations to the assignment of cases, that's very, very easy to do in SugarBPM. Okay, advanced slide, please. Okay, let's talk about no touch. We have a lot of different improvements and enhancements in this category. Okay, next. In SugarCell, what we're adding here is support for what we're calling post-sale customer lifecycle. So the things that happen after you actually successfully sell a product. So one of the things that was kind of difficult to do actually in complex sales scenarios was figure out how the exact set of products and entitlements that a long-time customer might have. You generally have to reverse engineer them from the opportunities won with that particular customer. And that's kind of a long, convoluted way of doing things. So what we did is we added the capability to track and take record of purchases made by customers. And those purchases can then be broken down into the individual line items that made up a purchase. And you can get highly accurate figures in terms of how much they've spent with you without corrupting any of your historical opportunity data. So you can leave in place, the opportunity data might show several different quotes that you put in front of a customer, but the but the purchase data is obviously going to show what they, in the end, actually purchased products for. And so the idea is we're trying to, one, promote a separation of duty between sellers and order desk role people. And we're trying to improve customer engagement in sales and support, because if sales or support rep understand exactly what products a customer has and can get that information very easily, then obviously they can have more meaningful conversations with that customer. And then finally, we're trying to enable faster and more informed decisions overall. Okay. And once you have the ability to record these purchases, then we can add a lot of automation into how we handle opportunities to make this be truly no touch. So new purchases can be generated automatically when opportunities are won and closed. And we give you control as well as to how that action behaves. So you can define, for example, an approval process that precedes the automatic generation of purchases, or you can restrict recording purchases to only certain kinds of cells. And that way, you have if you have exceptions in your process, this will give you the ability to deal with that very, very easily. So the idea here, reduce manual effort, right? So we don't want to add a capability like tracking purchases that just add another thing for sales reps to have to track and enter a lot of information on, especially when they've already entered the information in the form of their opportunity. So we're trying to auto-create those. We also, by doing it automatically and taking out any kind of manual effort that might be required, we can improve the accuracy of that information so it's more useful for later when you're trying to do decision support or analytics. Okay, this one is around simplifying how you manage opportunities. So if you've used the product before, if you've used SugarCell before, you know that opportunities are made up of individual revenue line items, right? So you have a sales opportunity with a customer. It's made up of a bunch of individual line items that represent the opportunity that's at hand, the products that you could sell. So what we did is we've made the ability to cascade changes that we make at the opportunity level down to the individual line item. So you don't have to do that one at a time, which is very, very cumbersome, especially if you have an opportunity with a lot of purchase line items. So in this example here, we have there are 5 revenue line items associated with an opportunity. If I wanted to cascade, if I wanted to change the expected close date and the service start date in the sales stage, that could be a total of 45 clicks for a 5 line item opportunity. In this case, we can do it with about 5 or 6 clicks. So vastly improve rep productivity, and it also improves enthusiasm or adoption by reps. I mean, if you make something really hard to do, it actually makes them not want to do it. So by improving this, we can improve rep adoption. And of course, we can also improve the data quality. Okay. In Sugar Market, one of the things that you do whenever you're creating a lead scoring profile, which is sort of the formula you're going to use for scoring leads relative to a particular campaign. One of the things that you have to do is you have to zero in on the best scoring mechanism. So it's usually a case of you write the profile, which defines how the scoring is going to work. Then you test it against some portion of the contact base. You see the results, and then you kind of analyze those results, figure out what you need to do, and then make adjustments to the profile as necessary. And so you've got this sort of cycle where you're continually making a change, testing it, analyzing results. And you're going through that cycle. And one of the things that was kind of tough is actually rescoring that against the contact database tended to require a lot more effort than it really should. So what we did is we made it so that the rescoring happens automatically. So the idea, we want to reduce the effort required to rescore. We want to reduce the cycle time between editing, testing, and evaluation. And ultimately, by doing that, um, we actually encourage customers to actually rescore more, to use this capability more. And by doing that, you improve lead conversion and you improve your ability to measure leads and their conversions. Okay, on the mobile side, what we're doing is we're taking the product catalog and we're making that accessible for mobile devices. So you'll be able to create quotes when you're out in the field. You'll be able to search for product items and quickly find favorites or recently accessed products. The idea is to shorten sales cycles, to make it easier to do, to help sales reps be more productive, and basically to provide a better customer experience for frontline sales reps. Another thing we're doing, this is sort of in the security realm, but it tends to tie into user productivity as well. We have a technology called Sugar Identity. And what Sugar Identity does is it provides a common sign-in mechanism for all sugar products. And that sign-in mechanism can be integrated with enterprise single sign-on that you might have. If you have like an LDAP server, or if you have a web SSO system that you use internally to provide single sign-on, like say an Okta or something like that, Sugar Identity can integrate with those services so that when you log in to say Okta, you're also logged into all Sugar applications. And Discover, being a relatively recent acquisition of Sugar, wasn't part of that shared identity ecosystem yet. So one of the things we did with this last release is add Discover to that, so that to make it really, really easy and fast for users to be able to go between, say, Sugar Cell and Sugar Discover without having to provide their credentials again. And also on the administrative side, this makes it much, much easier to administrate users, because you can, if you have, for example, an employee who leaves your company, you can easily take away all of their rights across all Sugar apps in one step. And so it reduces the opportunity to have orphans, which tend to be one of the biggest security vulnerabilities that are around in enterprises. And if you do that, then you're improving your security stance. Okay. Another thing we did is we stood up some new data centers in AWS, but in other regions which we didn't yet have locations in. So the new ones we stood up are in Canada, in the UK, and in Germany. The German data center covers pretty much all the DACH countries, the German-speaking countries. That would be Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And the idea here, the thinking was, besides the fact that we had demand for these, we stood up another data center in the UK because we wanted to cover companies who were kind of being put in a situation between having local data to the UK versus the rest of EMEA as a result of Brexit. So we wanted to facilitate a Brexit response. And these are kind of things that we're going to be doing from a coverage point of view. We'll be doing those as we expand globally. We'll be adding more and more data centers, maybe occasionally taking some away and consolidating in order to best fit the coverage that we have among both our current customer base and our expected customer base over, a 12 to 24 month horizon. Okay. Okay, so that's all the things that we did just last week. So if you haven't, if you're an on-premise customer and you haven't received those updates yet, probably worth your time. Um, Now I want to shift gears and talk about the things that are on the near-term horizon that you should see results from in the 4 to 9 month time frame. Okay, next, please. So within Sugar Market, we've been working for quite a while, actually over the course of multiple quarters, on a redesigned Nurture Builder. So today, Nurture Builder is very, very powerful. It allows you to build flows on how you progress a prospect through from just awareness about who you are to actual interest in your product, where they actually become a lead. And it allows you to design flows that are based on user engagement with the marketing tactics that you're using. It's very powerful, but frankly, it's a little hard to use, and it's even harder once you've designed a nurture flow to kind of understand it afterwards. So what we're doing is we're putting a graphical user interface on this so that it actually looks like a flow. And we're using that graphic user interface not only to build the nurture, but also to be able to understand where prospects are within the nurture flow. So at an individual node within the nurture flow, you can hover the mouse over there and know exactly how many prospects within a campaign are sitting in a particular stage. So it gives a shared understanding on both how you build as well as how you execute a nurture flow. Okay. The next feature here is in Discover, actually, and this is something that's ongoing. Discover, we launched it last fall. Very, very enthusiastic reception. We made a conscious decision at that time that Discover would first concentrate on Sugar Sell or Sugar Pro and Sugar Enterprise. In other words, Salesforce automation. And so we focused on analytics that drive the sales process, that measure sales performance. But we've always envisioned this as an end-to-end customer experience analytics solution. So we're going to expand this to also include market analytics, so from marketing automation, as well as on the back end, the customer service analytics. We probably won't introduce those at the same time, but those are the set of things we're doing. So we have data scientists right now who are looking at those spaces and defining the analytics and the related discovery insights that drive those analytics to figure out what our content offering is going to be here, because we've got a great platform, but what we lack here is content, and that's what's being developed. Okay. We're also looking at leveraging some of the cutting edge AWS technology that we have access to improve our global search. We want to be able to allow customers to have a Google similar kind of experience where they can enter a search string, and no matter and that search string will then result in searches that cross every object type, including custom objects, within the system, and organize the results in a way that's very, very consumable. And maybe even organize them in ways that are context sensitive. So if I'm on the renewals console, for example, I should probably, if I'm doing a search, depending on the nature of what I'm searching, I want to put certain kinds of hit results at the top, maybe for contacts or counts. Whereas if I maybe entered a different search string that was maybe, let's say, text instead of a telephone number, I might get a different set of results back. So we want to be intelligent about based on what they enter as well as the screen they were on at the time. Okay. The previous release, not the one we just had, but the one before that, we released a capability in Sugar Sell for automatically handling renewal type products. products that customers subscribe to, and then pay an annual or some kind of recurring fee in order to maintain their subscription to that. We're the only product on the market right now that has that support out of the box. Any other product you would have to customize in order to get that kind of capability. We provide it out of the box, and what we're doing is we're doubling down on that. So we're looking at reports and analytics that help customers better understand that renewals pipeline. And so we're playing with a number of different kinds of data reports, as well as visualizations to try to help that. So we want to provide some capabilities around forecasting, around understanding the state of the pipeline, as well as some historical pipeline performance metrics. And we want to relate those back to the individual products or revenue line items that make up renewal purchases. Okay. And then one of the things that you're going to see from us, probably in a very near future, are more capabilities that are powered by machine learning and other variants of artificial intelligence. One of the things that we're looking at right now is around lead scoring within SugarCell. So if you look at the upper right-hand corner there, we're showing this lead intelligence tab, and the likelihood to convert, it gives a score of 87. So for this selected lead of Noel Blue, on the screen, it's saying that the likelihood that Noel Blue will convert is 87. And then it gives some indicators underneath of top factors. So what we want to do, one of the challenges with machine learning is buying into the results it's showing you. And so what we want to do is we want to give you visibility into the factors that contributed to this score. So it's not this magic number. Instead, it's a number based on things that you understand. So in this example, this customer or this prospect attended a webinar. We validated that their contact information is correct. The contacts that we do have are in the correct company, role, and industry that we like to see, and that has historically led to conversions in the past, right? And these are the things that positively contributed to that score. And we want to provide that sort of visibility so that people trust that number and they can learn to rely on it. That's what we're looking at. AI and machine learning in a lot of other things too, like predicting next best actions for a customer that is having a lot of service issues, or doing sentiment analysis by looking at all the different interactions that you've had with customers and identifying ones who are using languages or giving the telltale signs that they're very unhappy and they might churn out, and allowing you to take actions on those, as well as suggesting the actual actions you should take. Okay, next please. All right, so future things. These are things that we, as I said, we haven't committed them to specific releases. We're in ongoing research on them, and we expect these to be sort of longer term items that will see the light of day, 9 months or more out. Okay, next please. So within Sugar Market, one thing we want to do is we want to take advantage of this new integration platform as a service capability that we introduced with Sugar Integrate in our last release. And we want to use that in order to integrate with Sugar Market and be able to have a lot more customer information at hand when you're designing marketing campaigns. So that's very exciting. We also want to support more communications channels. We're really, really good at web-based things. We're really, really good at email-based things. We want to be able to support marketing campaigns that cross into other channels like social or other kinds of things. Obviously, we have a lot of international customers, and this acquisition did not include internationalization. So that's something we're actively working on, internationalizing the product and figuring out what geographies we want to tackle with it first. We're also investigating marketing attribution now. So we want to be able to map individual marketing tactics, campaign tactics, to wins, and then be able to weight their contribution to those wins to attribute revenue to the individual marketing tactics that generated that revenue. So you know which ones are winning and how much they're contributing to those wins. We want to use hint technology to augment the data that's in your marketing contact database, so that you can have a more complete database and more accurate as well as more complete. And we also want to use AI and ML to look at that journey between being just a prospect and being an actual lead, to understand how that journey progresses, and to make recommendations about how to improve marketing campaigns based on past performance through the journey. All right, sales teams. So these are things that will make it into SugarCell. Probably many of them will make it into Sugar Enterprise and Pro as well. One is keep improving the support for the recurring sales model, that subscription-based model I talked about. So we want to add more and more automation to the renewal pipeline. One thing that's great about recurring sales is that there's a level of predictability there on these renewal sales that you can take advantage of in the CRM to automate a lot of different things. We want to make it easier to co-terminate upsells. So when somebody renews and you sell them additional products, we want to make it easy for them to expire at the same time. Or even if they do like a midterm cross-sell, and we want to be able to co-terminate those at the same time as well. We want to prorate add-on sales, and we want to be able to do predictive upsell opportunity creation. So we want to be able to look at the products that a customer has already bought, look at how they've engaged with our marketing campaigns, look at other attributes that we've collected about that customer from Hint, and we want to use predictive analysis to say, there's probably an opportunity to sell these 3 products to this company. And then to automatically create an opportunity with some rules around it that can be controlled through workflow. We want to make some really big forecasting improvements to using, once again, AI and ML technology to bring in more factors, and maybe factors that aren't intuitively obvious to human beings analyzing data, that would be obvious to a machine analyzing data in order to make more accurate forecasts. Want to do customer health monitoring. So we want to look at our customer base, maybe do sentiment analysis to figure out who's happy and who's not, and what that likely means to our sales forecast and our pipeline. And then finally, we're looking at territory management and ways to automate that, and in particular ways to optimize the definition and taxonomy of territories in order to maximize revenue. All of these things we're looking at not just from a organic build it in-house perspective, we're also looking at these from a potential acquisition perspective. I mean, the one good thing in an economy like we're currently experiencing is that there's a lot of great technology out there that's ripe for acquisition, that we might have opportunities to do that on that we may not have had in another kind of economy. So we are actively looking at those kinds of things. Next, please. All right, on the service side for SugarCell, we want to do more with intelligent case routing. So we've done the round robin that's including shifts and exceptions to shifts. But the thing that we haven't done yet and that we really need to add is the ability to route cases by skill set. And once we have that, then we have a truly intelligent case routing capability built in. We're also looking actively, and this one I say is not so future. I think this next one is going to be probably, I should move it into the next category, but omni-channel experience. So we're very good at handling support through portal or support through email. We want to be able to integrate with tools that for doing telephone support or doing support over chat or support over social media or SMS or any one of a number of different channels that customers demand that we communicate with them on these days. And we want to treat those experiences as first class, meaning we want those to be part of the overall interaction record that we keep with customers, so that from the CRM user standpoint, it all looks like part of one system, even though it's going through all these different channels. We're looking at conversational interfaces where allowing support reps or customers to communicate with the system like you would a person, right, using natural language. So that includes things like voice assistants, like a Siri kind of thing, all the way to doing chatbots and having voice-based Q&A with actually a robot or a computer system. We're looking at agent research tools, things that make it easier for service agents to find the relevant information to resolve a case based on more intelligent kind of search capabilities. And then voice of customer things. We want to integrate the capture and analysis of common customer service metrics like Net Promoter Score or customer effort score, those kinds of things into into SugarServe, so that you can run those kind of surveys from within the product, as well as do the data analysis afterwards. And then finally, we're going to be expanding our support for community. So the portal today is very good at knowledge management. It's good at case management, but we want to add things that that customers consider part of a whole user community. Things like discussion groups, resource repositories, finding and conversing with subject matter experts, an ability to collaborate on projects, all those kinds of things that you would expect out of a really robust community product. Okay, and then finally, the last thing here is really around intelligence. I talked a bit about this before, but we're going to be expanding our use of advanced technologies, particularly in the AI and machine learning realm. But we're also looking at software robots, little software agents that automate particular tasks, as well as natural language processing to make it easier to communicate with the system without having to navigate a user interface. Scheduling assistance, like we introduced with Sugar Connect, sentiment analysis, which I talked about a little bit, automated routing by skill and by past knowledge. Want to use a lot more predictive capabilities. So this gets into the time aware aspect I was mentioning before. We want to be able to use AI and machine learning to analyze this big treasure trove of data we've collected, this vast, especially data on past performance, in order to make predictive insights about the future, as well as to provide sort of next best actions for whatever your current state is now relative to some part of the product. And then finally, voice control like Siri, Alexa, or Google. All right, so that, I believe, yes, that concludes my section. I'm going to turn this back over to Deneen so we can go through Q&A.
Wow, just a lot to digest there. Super exciting stuff. Thank you so much, David. We really appreciate the time you took to go over all of this. You must have done a good job, because I don't see any questions coming in right now, but if anyone has any questions, now's the time. Or if you think of something later and you want more information on anything that you heard David talk about today, you can just shoot me an email at that email address right there, and I'll make sure that that's directed either to David, or if it's a sales question, it'll go to Molly or your customer success manager, whoever's the right person to help you with that question. I'll give it another couple seconds here, but I think we'll probably wrap things up. Just thank you again, David. This was great information. Lots to look forward to. And oh, we do have one question. Could you please elaborate on marketing attribution?
Sure. So what we ultimately want to do, if you think about all the different campaigns that you run from a marketing standpoint, you run them against a large number, usually, of contacts within your contact database. And a campaign is typically long lasting. It'll go on for months or perhaps even years. In general, you keep going on a marketing campaign until it stops producing leads. Now, anybody who actually becomes a lead, they're the ones who say, yes, I'm interested in this product. Can you tell me more? They will probably, over the course of from when you first started marketing to them to when they become a lead, they will probably have been hit by multiple tactics. They might have attended a webinar, they might have downloaded a white paper, they might have clicked through on some email campaign. They might have, and more importantly, maybe they probably didn't respond to other ones. What we want to be able to do is look at all the people who respond positively and understand exactly the path that they chose before they became a lead. And then we want to devise a mechanism where each touch point that we had over that journey to them becoming a lead will weight those. And then in that way, we can assign however much you ended up closing that lead for, you assign some amount portion of the revenue to that particular tactic. And that way you have a very, very detailed view on return on investment for each one of your marketing tactics that you do within a campaign. Now, designing that weighting, designing all of that, yeah, that takes some effort, but companies who really, really do this well, they're able to very quickly get rid of campaign tactics that aren't really producing much and focus on the ones that really do produce. So it's actually effort that's highly valuable, highly worthwhile, and it's kind of a holy grail for marketing automation.
I would resonate that, because as a marketer, that would be extremely helpful to know. We have another question here. Does the no-touch profile rescoring mean that once you update a lead score profile, it updates all lead scores based on that profile automatically?
Yes, within the larger set of contacts that you define that are applicable to it, yes.
Okay, thank you for those questions. Anyone else have anything they would like to ask David? Still got a couple minutes here. Be happy to get to whatever is interesting, which is a lot. Okay, well, as I mentioned, if you think of anything later or you want follow-up information on something that you saw, just send me an email at marketing@techadv, and I will make sure that we get that question answered for you. Thank you again, David. I hope everybody has a lovely rest of their week, and thank you all for joining us today.
Great, thank you.